It is time for your favorite Android podcast from the crew of blindandroidusers.com. Kick back and enjoy another fine episode from these Google fanboys as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special episode 1, bonus episode of the Blind Android Users podcast. In this episode, we are going to talk about Google I/O, and mostly we are going to talk about Android because that is what the show is about. But we will comment on the keynote, and if you have not seen the keynote, we will provide the link of the keynote in the show notes so you could see that keynote. With me is my friend Warren Carr, the host of the show. Unfortunately, our other crew members could not come because this is recorded way early for them. This is like 1 a.m. or something in the UK, so they could not make it. But we have Warren with us, and he's going to talk about all things Android. So, Warren, welcome back to the episode.
Thank you so much, Austin. Actually, I thought you would be actually having that dream dust in your eyes as well, because this is probably very early in the morning. And I tell you, if it was me, you couldn't get me to be up at this time of the day. I'll be sleeping. But anyway, here we are. You and I are just going to be piloting the ship today without our co-hosts. And it's a beautiful thing, like you indicated earlier. It was a wonderful thing to hear Sundar Pichai talk about Android or the Google keynote. As he gave the keynote speech, it was something that was mind-blowing. You talked about a lot of things, and about the Lambda. Talks about. I particularly like the part that someone was talking to the Pluto. Was it Pluto? What planet
was the Pluto, and it was the paper airplane.
The paper airplane and the Pluto. I think that was so neat. And the thing that fascinated me about that part actually has to do also with the fact that these were some of those WaveNet voices. It's so excellent. And I'm saying to myself, gosh, if we have those voices on our Android devices, I probably would be using Eloquence as a hide my ass kind of TTS, because this is so clear that it is so human sounding in every aspect of it. And then they talked about privacy and all of that. And to me, I think that was huge. It just goes to prove to the fact that Google can do whatever they can if they want it to, and they have definitely shown that. And now talking about that material U, and let's go down to a little bit back to history. I'm a historian, and I often like to talk a little bit about the history. When we first got that material design with Android Lollipop 5.0, it was a game changer, and it brought all the differences on our Android device. And now, looking at this material U, I have just installed Android 12 on my device. So, Austin, do you have anything to say about the keynote, any area in that keynote that impresses you or that you're so fascinated by before I actually talk about this process of installing Android 12 first public beta?
So the first thing that they spoke about in the keynote was the integration of Google Meet with the docs and slides and all that. That was okay. I mean, not much. I think what they're going to do on one day, like Microsoft Office, we're going to see Google Office Suite, which can be installed on the PC. I think they're going in that direction slowly because they are integrating more and more programs into one thing. Then they spoke about maps, and this is something that they added something new, some bike lane routes and some eco routes and some
Yeah.
safe routes which prevent sudden breakings, and AI will guide you to safer routes or more efficient routes. We will demo maps, but I think once the lockdown is over, we can do the demo of maps, and let's see how it works. Hope it comes soon. That is what they spoke about. Then they spoke about this live navigation, which was very nice. They brought it to indoors now, so they are going to help us navigate railway stations and airports and malls, and which is, I mean, not easy to navigate. See, in big cities where a lot of crowd is there, it's not easy. So they spoke about that. And the biggest thing I liked, like Warren, is Project Lambda, the language model. So for those of you who didn't see the keynote, Lambda is the language model which can understand what you speak in different languages, and it can it can hold a conversation with you, and you can hold a conversation with whatever you want, like a planet or a paper airplane, like what how they demoed. Then they spoke about search. In search, they had like the mum project, in which that
Yeah.
also is like Lambda, and they showed you some nice shopping things. Then it can tell you open carts, it can give you discounts, and they also have some updates to their password manager. So I think Google is pushing their password managers more, but I think it was more about privacy this time. There was a lot of privacy. Most of the things are opt-in, everything is opt-in now. So they have activated the auto delete activities on a lot of accounts. So this keynote was the best, I think, so far. And we'll have the link for those of you who didn't see it.
I agree, Austin. Frankly, I think this is the best Google I/O I ever heard. The keynote was just excellent. And the one thing also that you talked about that I actually like, that Google Workspace is now going to be for everybody. So it's not going to be something, hey, you need to subscribe to it. So I hope, and like I kept saying, I even said this on our email list, that the only thing missing, I wish they could just Google open up the ability to record. So now it's not only a school that will have access to it or some organization that will have access to this Google Workspace, but the knuckleheads like me will also have access to it, and we could collaborate on that and in real time, and also be able to talk and things like that. I'm actually looking forward to that. I think it's a great feature that Google is opening up to everybody. And thanks to, the pandemic, I know the pandemic is a bad thing, but I always say that, when there's a bad thing, there's always something good that comes out of a bad situation. There's always that silver lining in everything that happens. Even though it is bad, and as bad as it is, there's always something good that comes out of it. And look at what's coming out of this as a result of all this stay in shelter and all of that. We've gotten a lot of new things coming up or coming out as a result of that. So yeah, I like it. It's a beautiful thing that we have.
So now let's turn our attention to the most awaited topic that our listeners might want to know about, that is Android 12 Beta 1.
So for Android 12 first beta, I had installed it. I actually enrolled all my 4 devices on it just for giggles. Now, if you want to enroll, it's very simple, and there are qualifying devices. The qualifying devices would include, the Pixel devices from Pixel 3 and up. And I think as of now, though, OnePlus and some Xiaomi phones can also qualify for that. But here's where you go to. You go to google.com/android/beta. So that address again is google.com/android/beta. Once you get onto that page, what you're looking for is a button that says View My Eligible Devices. Clicking on View My Eligible Devices takes you to a page where you're going to see all the devices that qualify. And so under a heading that says Available Devices, that's your devices that are available for enrollment, you're going to see all the devices listed. And below each of the devices, there's an opt-in button. Once you click on that opt-in button, then you're taken to a page. And this page will have 3 checkboxes. The first checkbox talks about sending you email updates about the program. The second one talks about I am only a developer, and I'm only interested in receiving email messages relating to developers. And then the third one, of course, is the most important one, which says I agree to the terms of the Android 12 beta. Of course, without checking this checkbox, you're not going to be able to install it. Once you check that box, that's the third one that talks about the terms, then there's a button that says Confirm and Enroll. Once you click on Confirm and Enroll, then you are taken to a page that says you are now enrolled in the program. The next step now is to go back to your phone. So you go to your phone and go to the system settings and then go down to the language and input and all of that, where it has things like backup and reset and all of that. And therein, there's that system update. You tap on that system update and then it'll say your system is up to date. Then you want to find where it says check for updates at the bottom right. Tapping on check for updates then starts the downloading process. Now, depending on your phone, this update is almost 2 gigs. Now, if you happen to be one of those that's like me, when I enrolled back in February for the first developer preview, that update was only 168 MB. Now, on my other devices, however, one of them is 1.88 gigs. The other one was 1.72, and I don't remember what the other one was. So as you can see, if you've never opted into the first developer preview, then this one will be a huge one, almost 2 gigs. Once you finish the updating or the downloading, then of course you need to tap on the restart. Tapping on restart restarts the phone, and then you just wait for it to come back up, and it'll let you know that you are part of Android 12 beta. So what I decided to do after I finished installing that was that I decided to do a system factory reset, because I wanted to see if indeed whether or not that 2-finger hold down to enable accessibility is still there or not. And so that's what I did. I went ahead and reset my device and I brought it back up. And when it came back up, I put my 2 fingers down and nothing happened. I waited and then I put it down again and nothing happened. So indeed, the 2-finger hold down is gone. Only the 2-volume key hold down enables accessibility. So as of Android 12 and higher, we no longer have the ability to use a 2-finger hold down to enable accessibility. This is only possible on devices running Android 11 or lower. So that 2-finger hold down is gone with the wind. I am now going to unlock my device. And I have my device unlocked. It says, welcome to my new Pixel.
Welcome to your new Pixel.
I decided to make sure that I brought my apps from the cloud, and that's what you should do. So here I am. I'm going to go into the system settings and see if there are any changes. And this is a sighted person's heaven, because like we said earlier, we had that material design back with Android Lollipop. That was a language change, design language change. And then Google has introduced the material U. The whole idea is to adapt to who you are and how you use your phone. And so we have a different UI, different looking UI, a major change in the UI, in the look of Android. And even with my limited sight, it looks absolutely different from what it used to be. Now I'm going to pull down my notification and I'm going to pull down again. And looking at the quick settings, this is absolutely beautiful. Instead of seeing like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, data, and whatever, like 4 things on a row, in this case, there are only 2 things per row. So you have like
display brightness, slider, 34%.
And then below that, you have the items.
Bluetooth. Switch on, do not disturb. Flashlight.
So there are 2 items per row, unlike where there were 4 previously. Now, I want to go to, and also I want to mention the fact that these are big, they're large, they're easier to see and all of that. If you have a little bit of sight, they look really good, even to me as a blind person who has very limited, eyesight. I'm going to go down here to open settings.
Open settings. Settings. Styles and wallpapers.
I am now in the system settings, and here's what we got.
Get to know your Pixel. Explore what you can do with your phone. Out of list. Search settings. Network and internet. In list.
I'm just exploring, going downward.
Connected devices. Apps. Notifications. Digital well-being and parental controls.
I'm going to scroll up.
Digital well-being. Battery. Storage. Sound and vibration. Display. Styles and wallpapers.
I'm going to scroll up.
Accessibility. Security. Privacy. Location. Safety and emergency.
I'm going to scroll up.
Safety and emergent passwords and accounts. Google. System. About phone. Tips and support.
And that's the last one. You notice here that we no longer have something that says language, system, input, and blah, blah, blah. Instead, now we just have system. Now, there was something that they talked about, and that has to do with using the power key to invoke the assistant, which I think is a very good thing to see Google implementing that. And I want to check to see where that is. And I believe that that thing is in the system because I didn't hear it anywhere, and there would be no better place to put this than in the system settings.
System.
So I am going to go into that system and see if we find it here.
Settings. System. Out of list.
I am in system now, and let's look at what we got.
Languages and input. Gboard. In list.
So here's where the languages and input is hiding.
Gestures.
We got gestures.
Date and time. Motion sense. Backup. System update. Update. Rules. 0 rules.
I can go in here and create rules. I can wait to do that and show that in some of our upcoming episodes.
Rules. 0 rules. Multiple users. Signed in. Rule. System update. Updated to Android S.
All right, so I want to go to gestures.
Gestures. Settings. Gestures. Out of list.
In gestures, here's what we've got.
Gestures. Pause music. On pause or resume music. Skip songs. On skip. Silence interruptions. Handheld gestures. Active edge. On. Swipe for notifications. Off.
I'm going to scroll up.
Quickly open camera. On. Flip camera for selfie. On. System navigation. Gesture navigation. Tap to check phone. Off. Flip to shish. Off. Lift to check phone. Off.
I had turned this off,
Showing
and
items.
so it followed my settings.
Prevent ringing. Mute. Power menu. Show cards, passes, and device controls.
And this has to be where that assistant or power and assistant is located. I'm going to tap here.
Settings. Power menu.
All right. Let's see.
Power menu. Out of list. Hold for assistant. Trigger the assistant by holding the power button. Switch. Off. In list.
Aha. Let's see what else we got here.
Cards and passes. On. Device controls. On. Lock screen. Heading. Sensitive content. Show cards and controls when locked. Switch. On.
All right. It brought this from my other device. So I'm going to go back up to the part that talks about using the power to turn on the assistant, which is off by default.
Hold for assistant. Trigger the assistant by holding the power button. Switch. Off. Trigger the assistant by holding the power button. On.
All right. So I have turned that on.
Pixel
So
one.
now I'm going to
Home
hold down.
screen one.
I'm going to hold down the power just for giggles and see what happens. Weather.
Currently, 64 degree F, sunny, high, 65 degrees low, 37 degrees, Precip, 0%, Tuesday Moxie, in list.
So it told me that it is 64 degrees and we're going to go down to a low of 37 degrees. And that's how that works. So I have 3 different ways now of invoking, or 4 different ways of invoking the assistant on my phone using a Google, either 3A or 4. Or I could simply squeeze the size. Only my Pixel 3 XL, Pixel 3A, and Pixel 4 have the capability of that, squeezing the side. And so that's one method. And the second method is that power hold down. And the third would be to use that infamous word. I don't want to say that phrase. And then the fourth one, of course, is the swiping from the bottom left or bottom right corner and invoking the assistant that way. So we have different ways of invoking the assistant, and I'm particularly thrilled with the power hold down. I think that's a good one. Google should have done that a long time ago. That would be the overview, though, of the system settings. Unless, Austin, is there some place you want us to look at? I don't think anything has changed.
We went to settings and we didn't see anything regarding safety and emergency before. I think this is new. Am I correct?
That is true. I think that is correct, because before, when you hold down the power, there was something about that. But I think that was safety and emergency was part of something else. But now it's kind of been decoupled to be, by itself there in that system settings. They've kind of regrouped things and things like that. And I think that's a good thing, because if you're going to be talking about safety, you want to put it where people can easily find it. And so it's nice to see it there by itself, not buried in some other menu.
Also, in episode 11, we had discussed about magnifying and new magnification gestures in Android 12. So has anything changed in the accessibility settings, or all same?
Scanning face. 524.
So let's look at the
Pixel launcher. Home screen 1 of.
Let's look at the accessibility and see
Quick setting.
what has changed. What if I ask it to open accessibility? Open accessibility settings.
Accessibility. Navigate up button.
In my accessibility settings, these are the things that we have. We have
Downloaded apps. Heading. In list. Brailleback. Dashlane. E-reader Prestigia. Speak. Screen. Talkback. On speak.
I'm going to scroll up.
Text. Extra dim. Dark theme. Switch. On. Magnification. Off. Select to speak. Off here. Select. Interaction controls. Heading.
Let's scroll up.
System controls. Vibration and haptics. On. Tap assistance. Live transcribe. Convert speech to text. Live caption. Automatically caption media. Caption preference. Sound amplifier. Use head. Sound notifications.
Let's scroll up here.
Audio adjustment. Hearing aids. No hear. General. Head. Accessibility shortcuts. Text to speech output. Magnification. Off.
Oh, there's the magnification there. So if we tap on
Settings.
magnification.
Magnification. Out of list. Magnification shortcut. Off. In list. Shortcut settings. Switch. Off. Settings.
Here's the settings.
About magnification. Settings. Settings. Magnification settings. Out of list. Navigate up. Button. Magnification type. Switch between full and partial screen. In list.
So there's that one, the switch between full and partial.
Magnification
And
settings.
so one has to go in there. I don't know anything much about magnification, so I'll leave that to someone like Pete or our friend Carrie to take us through magnification and see if there's any changes here in the magnification area. And that would be
Dark theme. Magnification. Off.
There we go. And something that talks about text in display.
Dark theme.
I wonder.
Extra dim. Text and display. Settings. Font size. Default. Display size. Default. Bold text. switch, off. Color correction, off. Color inversion, off. Remove animations, switch, off.
And you can remove animation if you don't want them.
Large mouse pointer, switch, off. High contrast text, switch, off.
So you see how it is that they've regrouped some of these things and put them in other menus or by themselves. So these are things that we would be getting used to and we will be talking about as we go on. And that would be probably what I thought was some of the most important things, even though there's yet a lot to go into. But this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this new Android 12 and all that it has brought home.
To talk about the privacy changes of Android 12, because there were lots of rumors that they were going to add privacy features and lots of privacy information.
Well, we could quickly look at see what some of these privacy things are.
Location, privacy.
In
Settings.
privacy,
Accessibility usage. 2 apps have full access to your device in list.
so it says there are 2 apps that have usage to my accessibility. Let's see which
2
ones.
accessibility apps have full access to your device. Dashlane, last access. These apps can view Dashlane, talkback, last access, 5:30 p.m.
So these are the 2 apps that have full access to my accessibility settings. And, that's in the privacy area. If you don't want them to, then you turn them off.
Permission manager, control app access to your data.
So here you can go into the permission manager and see what apps have access to your data.
Show passwords, display characters briefly as you type, switch on. Privacy, don't show notifications at all.
Of course, it brought back my settings.
Advanced, device personalization services, personalize using app data, autofill service from Google, Google location history, activity controls, ads, usage and diagnostics.
That's a lot in here. We're not going to go into all of that today, but we're going to be talking about these things in our upcoming episodes because there's a lot to go into. And so I'm going to go back.
Settings, Google. Passwords and account, safety and styles and wallpapers.
Let's look at styles and wallpapers.
Style.
This is
Custom, row 1, column 1, in grid, 2 rows, 4 columns. Default, currently applied and previewed, default, column 2. Sand, font, Lustria, icons, Kai, shape, pebble, color, sand, column 3.
wow.
Carbon, font, Victor, icons, Victor, shape, tapered rect, color, carbon, column 4.
I'm going to choose
Carbon,
that just
currently
for giggles.
previewed. Crayon, font, Arbutus slab, source sans pro, icons.
Like I said, this is a sighted person's heaven. It just looks absolutely beautiful. Some of these wouldn't make any much sense to us, but for a sighted person, this is a total new change, something exciting. And so that is what we're seeing here.
Info, button, out of grid.
I can look at the info.
So, preview of font, icons, app shape, and color.
All right. So that is what I would say that we have in Android 12 and the things that we'll be looking at and discovering as we go along. And of course, we will always let you guys know what we have discovered. I think that would do it for this little special episode. Austin, how about give people a way to contact us?
Okay, before that, we'll just tell our listeners that we will be doing a short review of Android 12 in the next episode. Maybe just talk about if Warren finds something new in it, more in detailed usage, if any bugs are found. And obviously, if you have a device which is your only device, I would suggest that you enroll with caution because there may be some bugs that might make your device a little less usable. So enroll with caution.
Well, a little word on that. And yes, that's a good advice. But, what I wanted to say is the fact that, like I said earlier, even the developer preview worked with all of my apps. And it's the very first time in the history of Android, or in the history of me, flashing the developer preview that goes back to Lollipop, that this was the first preview of Android that all of my apps actually work. And so now that it's in the beta phase, the first public beta, I'm sure that no one would have any difficulties. But if you think there's some things that you're going to be using, like maybe it's a medical device and things like that, I probably wouldn't advise you to go into this beta, because you never know, it may not work with that medical device or that medical thing that you have on your phone. So if you have important things like that, absolutely don't jump on this until it's all been done.
Also, another advice, if you enroll for this beta and install it, and if you find that the performance is not so great, I would advise you to do a factory reset, because previously what we used to do is whenever we do a major update, let's say from Android 11 to Android 12 or something, we always do a factory reset. Now this may have changed, but it's always advisable that if you find the performance less than what it was before, you could do a factory reset.
Absolutely. And I'm a champion of that. I champion that in the sense that I've always said, after installing a major update like this OS update, it's always good to do that system factory reset. And that's what I did on this, just to make sure. And I did that, and everything is working well. And again, like we said earlier, if you enroll in the beta and you realize that things are not working right for you, you can go back to that same page, which is google.com/android/beta, and therefore go unenroll, and it will roll you back to your previous OS iteration. No questions asked.
So that is it for this episode. If you want to find us, you can listen to all our previous episodes on our website, that is blindandroidusers.com. You could also use any podcasting apps like Spotify or Pocket Cast to listen to our episodes. You can listen to it on Victor Reader devices, smart speakers, any internet device that can play audio. To email us, you could send in an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com, and you can join our mailing list. For that, you can send an email to blind Android users plus subscribe at groups.io. You can join us on Telegram and Twitter and Clubhouse. The links will be in the show notes. You can also follow on YouTube channel and subscribe and share all of our fantastic videos. So that is it from us in this episode.
Thank you so much, guys. See you in our next episode, and that will be episode 24. And that has been another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. As always, we appreciate hearing from you. You send those email messages to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. For those My Android Journey stories, we encourage you to send those to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. Until we see you in our next episode, you have a wonderful day.